State had a big day up and say they were able to keep Hykeen Williams, the big 5-star wide receiver from down here. They were able to keep. They really only lost one guy on Wednesday, falling to Auburn, but they picked up a big flip on Thursday, getting Conrad, 4-star safety from Fort Lauderdale, St Thomas Aquinas, flipping from Penn State to Florida State. Talk to me about that one, Logan.
That one was a big one, something that we were watching for a little while after probably his visit. There was concern from Penn State side of things that he might not stay a hard commit, solidify them being with the Nittany Lions. And we kept a close eye on it, had the visit, and then pretty optimistic that Florida State was going to make that flip on Wednesday. It ended up being on Thursday. Some things maybe last a little bit longer than expected. I think really Penn State made one last move to try to keep him with them, but at the end of it, Florida State, Marcus Woodson, Adam Fuller, and including, of course, Mike Norvell are able to make the flip there. And a much-needed get because of that position room. If you look at it, you don't know what Jamie Robinson's going to do. I think you'd probably agree with me, Jason. He's on to the NFL. We don't know, though, what Akeem Dent and what he's intending on doing, too. That's probably a big question mark heading into after we get done with this bowl game. There's going to be a few question marks, and Akeem Dent will be one of those because I think going into the season, we thought, he has a chance to go pro, but that's not the case. I don't think at this moment. I think throughout the season, a lot of kind of injuries lacked him a little bit. So I would probably lean towards Akeem Dent returning, but you never know with all this kind of stuff. We haven't seen him really sign. We've seen the Battles End Collective be able to help retain some of these players. We haven't seen a post, and it doesn't mean that he's not staying, but it's one of those things that we're keeping a close eye on. Florida State's got to have some time to that safety room right now. And it's young. You have Shyheim Brown back there, but you've got to have more guys that you can develop on your own. And you can't rely on the transfer portal every year. And so having a guy like Conrad Hussey come in, if you look at some of his film, really more of a smart player than anything. He knows and reads the quarterbacks pretty well at the safety position, good at takeaways. He's got a nice body frame to him. So Coach Storms, once he arrives, I don't believe he will be an early enrollee. He will be arriving in August. So kind of going through a Julian Armella type situation there, where Julian Armella didn't get to participate in the spring, but arrived in great shape for fall camp. But that's what I'm expecting out of Conrad Hussey. The commitment ceremony, once again, likes to load up the blood pressure for FSU fans as usual. Getting every hat, putting the hats away. He gets up and puts on the hoodie, and he's got the FSU logo on there. So a stressful time, even for us that cover the team and are ready to hit publish and post. But a really nice pickup for Florida State in that future of the defensive back room, specifically at the safety.
I'm not going to lie. I was shocked because Penn State had 3 coaches, including Manny Diaz, their defensive coordinator, former Miami Hurricanes coach, who was at the state championship game for St. Thomas Aquinas on December 11th on December, I believe it was 15th, I apologize, when they beat Homestead. And we're all there. I thought it was Penn State, but I'm happy. You talk about the transfer portal. Florida State, the number 1 ranked team when it comes to getting transfer players in this 2022 so far offseason. Braden Fisk is a defensive tackle coming in from a directional Michigan school. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, another position where you've got some question marks about it, because if you're looking at Fabian Lovett, what is he going to do? You already know Robert Cooper's gone. You lost Jarrett Jackson included there. Florida State needed to go in this portal and grab an experienced defensive lineman. This is rated the number 1 defensive tackle in the transfer portal per 247 Sports. So overall, you've got to like to pick up a really physical player on the inside. You know, just projecting here on what you can do with them. Definitely if Fabian Lovett comes in, you've got 3 really stud defensive linemen returning next year. If it is Fabian Lovett, you've got Joshua Farmer, which we've seen really great signs from, and then you add in Frisk. That's a lot of experience that Florida State needs, because you have a younger group right now. They're developing, and we see signs of them at practice, and you're seeing a little bit more playing time for a guy like Daniel Lyons, who has been absolutely dominant in some of these last practices, and it's been so influential for them to have these bowl week practices for a guy like Daniel Lyons and Ayobame Tafase and a Bishop Thomas, and even Ontavious Woody, who moved from offensive lineman over to defensive lineman. It's been huge for them to get these extra couple of weeks of practices, but specifically having Fisk come in adds more experience. You're going to have a guy that is physical, good against the guards on the inside, and you lose Robert Cooper. We'll see what Fabian Levitt ends up doing, but having experience there is big. And going back to it, you lost Jarrett Jackson. He's on to another school. You've got to have some experience there. Jarrett Jackson committing to Michigan State, so he's going to go get up there into the cold. So also not down here with the team practicing like a guy like Amari Gaynor, Keyshawn Hill, and some guys that have entered the transfer portal. Definitely a guy like Gaynor who's visited a few other schools across the country who I'm expecting to see participate in this bowl game. Jarrett Jackson not with the team down here practicing, and he's off getting ready for the Michigan cold.
Amari says to announce on the 30th. Where do you think he heads?
Right now, I'm feeling West Virginia. Jason, I'm feeling West Virginia. He's got a connection with Garrett Green, the West Virginia quarterback there. Played over there at my school at Childs. I think there might be a close kind of tie-in there, and I'm sure West Virginia could use him. But that's probably where I'm leaning right now. But he needs to make a smart move for himself, a business decision, and more playing time is what he wants. Or maybe he wants to be utilized in a different kind of aspect. I like him as dropping down and being a pass rusher on the line there. Maybe that's what he wants to do more of. He did that in high school level. They dropped him back more into that linebacker, outside linebacker role. I'd like to see him move into that pass rush more than anything, but we'll see where he ends up picking. But I just think it's really unique to see Mike Norvell, what he's been able to do with the culture-wise, have guys that have entered the transfer portal. They're practicing right now, and we could see them play on Thursday night. I just think that just goes to show the trust that has been built between Florida State, the coaching staff, Mike Norvell, and his players. It's been a nice culture shift in Tallahassee.
One of our comments wants to know the latest on Ventrell Cypress. What are you hearing on him?
Ventrell is, at least right now, I don't think anything happened today, but Ventrell Cypress is the top, if not the top cornerback in the transfer portal right now. He visited Florida State, the only official visit so far for him. Like I said, unless anything happened today that I missed. But, there's some schools that I think, might need to monitor here, including LSU for a visit. That would probably shake up some things. That's why Florida State was really hoping to push to get the commitment pretty early and put it away. Just kind of how you saw with Fisk there. Florida State would love to add in another defensive back. You can probably comment on this too, Jason, because what you get out of Renardo Green. And I talked with Jamie Robinson about that on Monday. And I think people sleep on Jamie Robinson. They forget that Jamie Robinson's on the roster because he's not talked about so much on broadcast because he's doing his job. There's not a lot of wide receivers beating them on routes, or they're mossing them. I really like the way that Renardo Green played this year, and I'm super stoked for his 2023 campaign. But you've got to find someone on the opposite side, and you do have talent there, and you're seeing signs of Jarian Jones, the growth there for him and the improvement. You're seeing Azrae Thomas jump in pretty early in his football career for Florida State. But Ventrell Cypress is Ventrell Cypress. That is a talented player on the defensive side of the ball, and you need someone that can be on the opposite of Renardo Green. So Florida State's going to push, and they're going to continue to push as they should. It would be a much-needed pickup too, and that's going to be a question mark right after bowl game that will add onto the list of will they be able to kind of seal things up earlier than later. I think they've got to, or things kind of get mixed up, and you could see him picking another school. But I think LSU right now is probably a school to monitor, and if an official visit is scheduled or if it's being done anytime soon, it's going to be a rather tougher than what the situation was about a week ago.